So where did Kin come from? Where did the idea come from? We're going to let you know in this episode of KINTV. And I still fit, sort of, in this coat. This was my missionary coat in Finland. I was 30 pounds lighter back then, but if you see this coat during this show, let us know, because it has a cameo in this episode. Welcome to KINTV. How did we come up with the idea of Kin the TV show? Well, it came from a story about what we call Charlie's Christmas, but the Deseret News used to, and they still do the contest, The Christmas I Remember Best. And this one was written by Charlie Flood in 1983. He wrote the story about what was Christmas like in the Depression. And so you can see right here that I underlined parts of this, and I had the author himself, Charlie Flood. I went to his house and he narrated the story, and then he starred as the antagonist, Mr. Peterson. And we had a neighbor boy, his name was Jason Forrest, who was about 12 years old. He played Charlie. And so it gave me the idea of, well, what if we did other stories like that, where people read from a journal or reenacted these stories? And so this was the idea that grew into what we call Kin, the television show. I have one cameo in this Charlie's Christmas. See if you can point it out and put it in the comments below. It's a real quick thing. You have to keep your eyes open. Downtown Provo has changed a lot in 30 plus years. This was a location we used to shoot Charlie's Christmas. It was Losi Jewelers, and it was the Losis that loaned us a Model T. There was a Christmas display in here, and Charlie looks at the Christmas display here and then crosses the street clear over to Springville, to this location that we used as Old Man Peterson's store, way over here. It's been different things, but this location's always had kind of this look, and we set it up with some Christmas trees over here and made it look like Mr. Peterson's store. That's movie magic. You can go back to old locations and what happened. Did they mow it down? Those are some of the things you can do for your own movie, is figure out, where did you come from? Go back to where you grew up, where you lived, where you were born. Is the hospital still there? What's the situation now? Everything's changing all the time. And in 30 years, we've seen a definite change in Provo and the locations where we shot Charlie's Christmas. It still fits. After 35 years, I lettered in football at BYU, and I was 180 as my fighting weight, and now I'm at 165. So this is a new church. There used to be an old church here, the old Pleasant View Ward. We used it as 3 different locations for Charlie's Christmas. The first one was downstairs. We used it as a school. We also used it as a window where he stole the pie, and also the milkman delivered the milk here. So now, as you can see, this location is completely different, but it was across the street from what was then Cougar Stadium and is now Lavelle Edwards Stadium. The final scene of Charlie's Christmas we shot in an existing Christmas tree lot early in the morning where nobody could disturb us, and I don't even know if we got permission or not, but we went there and we set up some presents and so forth, and we shot it. Now, one of the things you have to realize that you'll notice about Jason Forrest, who plays Charlie, is that he's always got his mouth like that. You know why? Because he had braces. So every time you saw him, he was kind of making an effort to cover up his mouth, especially on the last scene, you'll notice. So that's a little bit about the behind the scenes, and that's what's kind of cool, is going back and seeing these old locations, how things change over 30 years. Things are changing all the time. And you can look back in your own life and see how things are changing. We came up with the idea of kin because of the things that we learned from doing Charlie's Christmas. That there's something magical about having somebody telling their own first-person story in their own voice, and maybe having somebody connected to it playing that part. So I want you now to enjoy the little thing we call Charlie's Christmas.
I was a feisty 9-year-old when Dad took sick and left Mom and me sudden-like. That same year, the Great Depression hit the country, but it made no difference to us. We had nothing to begin with.
Extra, extra, get paper here.
I sold newspapers on street corners.
Only nickel.
Occasionally, I moonlighted at night by picking up a bottle of milk from some front porch. And sometimes I picked up a pie from a pantry window. Like any other young boy, I reveled in the holiday sights and sounds. There would be no bounteous goodies under the tree. In fact, there would be no tree. That didn't seem right. At least a tree would ease the hurt. Christmas Day, I hurried to Peterson's Market. I figured that since the store was closed on Christmas morning and the unsold trees were usually thrown away, I was embarking on fair game. Nels Peterson was an old bachelor who could squeeze a nickel until the buffalo bellowed. Scrooge could take lessons from him. He was that mean. He could never keep up with me. Every year I would outfox him. Old man Peterson would eventually put up a fence to keep me out, but that didn't stop me. Then came a Christmas that I shall always remember. Teacher at school involved our class in making Christmas cards for our favorite person, not counting our families. I participated reluctantly. I was almost 12 and this was kid stuff. I made a humdinger for Nels Peterson. Why I included him as my favorite person, I didn't know. By the time I had finished, I felt a strange kinship for my adversary. Late Christmas Eve, when the stores were closed and everybody was home, I peered around the corner of the back of Peterson's Market cautiously. The gate was open. My first thought was that anyone that dumb deserved to lose a tree. My second thought was that maybe he's not so dumb. This could be a trap.
Oh no.
I felt the whole world was watching me in the midst of a heinous crime. Just as I was about to turn and bolt, I saw the large, crudely lettered sign on the tree. Don't forget to pull the plug and lock the gate. Merry Christmas. I reached down for the section and saw the presents and box of groceries. Mr. Peterson wasn't among the trees. He was somewhere throwing the switch and watching me.
Merry Christmas, Mr. Peterson.
My new friend and I had learned a beautiful lesson on the joy of giving. All because a simple homemade Christmas card had touched a lonely heart and opened a locked gate.
I hope you felt the impact of Charlie's Christmas and the idea that emerged from it as what we have in KINTV. That there's a power in people telling their story in their own voice, whether it's out of a journal and a family member, a descendant reads that journal, or if it's somebody playing the part of their ancestor. There's power in telling these stories, and we want to connect you to your family, past and present. When we come together and do it as family, it's very powerful, as you will see in upcoming episodes of KINTV. Next episode, full disclosure, about a very important matter that you don't want to miss.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe. May God bless.
Merry Christmas, everybody.